Our next session is a panel discussion. So maybe Lopamudra Jana. So she will coordinate the session. So most of the expert panel members, they will join online. So I'll be join from offline here. So if you have.
Everyone, am I audible clearly?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm Lopa Mishra Jana, and I am heading the operations at HRC Center. So and today I'll be moderating the panel discussion on a subject that is very urgent as well as deeply exciting, and that is Gen AI for Indic languages. Just a brief about myself. With around 18 years of experience, I sit at the intersection of technology, entrepreneurship, innovation policy, and I currently work on the initiatives that foster equitable tech development across states. So, I mean, it's a personal and professional passion to see India not just as a consumer of Gen AI technologies, but as a builder, and especially when it comes to make AI speak, think, and reason in our diverse languages. To set the context, the Census of India 2011 reports that the population speaks over 121 languages and 1,369 dialects. The People's Linguistic Survey of India estimates more than 780 languages, with some scholars estimating that the total number of languages, including dialects, could be around 1,600. So this vast linguistic landscape makes India one of the most linguistically rich countries in the world, but yet the digital presence and the Gen AI capabilities for most of them are minimal or non-existent. This really creates both a technological and a social gap. But to address that, today we are joined by leading researchers across the industry, research and community spaces to understand where we are falling short and what can we do about it. So today in this panel discussion, we will be exploring challenges across data sets, the developer tools, ethical pipelines, and deployment issues in rural and multilingual contexts. And most importantly, also look for pathways and what is a way forward through collaboration. So I'll welcome everyone again for this panel discussion. And today we have with us Dr. Sadangi, Dr. Siddhant Sadangi, Mr. Raj Dabre, Mr.Adiseshu Naik, Dr. Shantipriya Nandam, and Ms. Ipsita Mohanty. So I hope I'll request the panelists to kindly turn on their videos so that we can see them on the screen. Are we able to see the panelists on the screen?
Yeah, hi.
Shanti sir, you have to please confirm whether we are able to see the panelists on the screen.
We could see Ipsita and Siddhant. So Raj, can you please turn on your Raj and Adiseshu? Yeah.
Hi everyone. Good morning. So I'll just quickly give a brief introduction of the panelists and then we can begin. So Dr. Shanti Parida is a senior AI scientist at AMD Cello in Finland, specializing in generative AI and NLP. He holds a PhD in computational neuroscience from Utkal University with a postdoc research in machine translation at Charles University and NLP at IIT Research Institute. He has around 15 years of experience and was previously a system architect at Huawei Technologies India. He has led multiple projects resulting in numerous high-impact publications and has edited 2 NLP books with a third in progress. And he has lectured in Gen AI at Aalto University and IIT Norway. So Dr. Parida has co-founded the OdiaGenAI initiative, which has significantly contributed to building LLM resources for Indic languages. Coming to Mr. Siddhant Sadangi, he is a developer experience engineer at Neptune.ai, where he helps ML developers and AI researchers from top-tier labs and enterprises like OpenAI, Samsung, HP, etc., and tracks large-scale foundational model training. He is a former data scientist at Reuters. His applied AI projects has generated over $3 million in revenue. He started his role as an ETL developer consultant at Deloitte and has been in the field of data and analytics for almost 10 years. He's also the creator and community moderator for Streamlit, reflecting his passion for making technology accessible and inclusive. Please feel free to add, any other introduction that I might have left out. Coming to Dr. Raj. Raj Dabre is a researcher at Google Australia and a visiting faculty at IIT Madras and IIT Bombay, and his focus is mainly on low-resource languages. He has published several A-star venues like ACL, EM, NLP, AAAI, Neuro IPS, etc., and is passionate about pushing AI for Indian languages via his efforts at AI for Bharat. Mr. Adiseshu Naik is a dynamic AI and data science leader and is currently serving as the principal leader and practice head at Aptus Data Labs. He specializes in designing and scaling enterprise-grade AI, GenAI, and advanced analytic solutions that drive measurable business impacts across industries. He has successfully led transformative projects leveraging LLMs, agentic frameworks, and cloud-native architectures for delivering significant operational savings and accelerating digital innovation. He is a graduate of IIM Calcutta, and he combines deep technical expertise with strategic business acumen, enabling CXO-level collaborations and fostering a culture of data-driven excellence. Coming to Ms. Ipsita Mohanty, she is an accomplished AI leader and vice chair of the IEEE Women in Engineering Santa Clara Valley. With over 15 years of experience spanning Salesforce, Goldman Sachs, Walmart Labs, and Amdocs, she has led several impactful AI-driven initiatives that includes architecting Salesforce Tableau agents and enhancing recommendation systems at Walmart. Ipsita holds a master's degree in information technology from Carnegie Mellon University and a bachelor's in computer science and engineering from KIIT University. She is also the co-founder of QApp, an AI agentic platform. She is a winner of several AI awards and is recognized among the top 100 women and AI leaders globally. And she actively contributes to the AI research and community leadership while championing diversity in technology. I welcome you all to today's panel discussion. So we can go ahead and we can start with some of the questions that I have. Maybe we can start with Mr. Sadangi. So coming to what kind of open data sets or benchmarks do we still lack for Indian languages, and how can academia and industry collaborate to build them? Over to you, Mr. Sadangi. You have to unmute all, I guess, right? That's the problem, I think.
Unmute. Siddhant. Unmute, yeah, all three.
Yeah.
All three. Yeah, Siddhant, can you unmute? I think.
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Lopa ma'am, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining. So coming to the question, so what kind of open data sets or benchmarks do we lack for Indian languages? And like, say, how can academia and industry collaborate to build them? So first is we need to think beyond raw text, right? We need to have more nuanced data sets. What we need is currently, like, say, more specialized data sets. So an academic paper that I was reviewing highlights the lack of resources for specific dialects, ancient languages, and endangered languages. We also lack, say, corpora for, like, say, specific tasks like culturally relevant sentiment analysis or question answering on historical texts. What we also lack is, say, high quality annotated and multimodal data sets for Indic languages. So by multimodal, I mean, say, data that pairs text with images or video. So this is, I would say, indispensable for building richer and more context-aware models, because you cannot have a, say, Gen AI model which is trained just on text or just on images or just on video separately. It has to understand the context and relate between all three of them. So that's one. Second is, when we talk about specialized data sets, it should not be like, say, a generic data set. Say, we would need, say, a data set specializing in, say, Odia law, for example, or a data set specializing in, say, Manipuri historical medicine, for example, right? So these kind of specific data sets will provide a, like say, much needed context to Indic language models. So I think that's what we need to focus on when we are building data sets. Now, coming to benchmarks, just as important as data sets, we also need, say, standardized benchmarks, which we currently lack for low resource languages. So it's not just enough to build a model. We need to rigorously evaluate a model, and that is not possible until you have a standardized benchmark that can be replicated or say reproduced for different models. So the success of the Mega Indic Llama paper, which was not just in building the model, what they did was they rigorously cleaned a data set and trained a model on that clean data set. Now this process itself is important, but what's also important is being able to reproduce the cleaning, being able to reproduce the steps, the pre-processing, and being able to reproduce the benchmarks on which the data set was evaluated. So for many Indic languages, I would say for most Indic languages outside of the top 5 or 10, these benchmarks just don't exist. And we also need some benchmarks that test for very specific cultural nuances, expressions, and potential biases, not just translation. So currently, if I'm not wrong, most of the benchmarks are focused only on translation accuracy. So this is the key area where collaboration with linguists and cultural experts is very important. And then finally, coming to the collaboration model, how can academia and industry collaborate to build both these nuanced data sets and benchmarks? So a successful collaboration model would involve industry providing the funding, the resources, and the engineering expertise required for data collection, academia providing the linguists and the humanities scholars who will provide the oversight and the context, oversight and the context knowledge, or you can say that the domain knowledge to ensure the data sets are linguistically sound and culturally appropriate being important here. The native speaker communities must be engaged and empowered through data collection efforts, annotate the data, and also retain ownership of the data. We should not be thinking of, native speaker communities as just data sources. They should be treated as, data owners with, power over and, control over the data they provide. So I think, if I can summarize, we need to look beyond raw text, have more specialized data sets. Rigorous benchmarking should be made available for data sets and models, and finally collaborate between a collaboration model where industry funds and provides expertise, academia provides humanities scholars, and the community builds. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Siddhant. Just to add to top of it, maybe Dr. Shanti can add here, there are many data sets available and for, let's say, for Hindi or for few major languages. But how do we ensure that that's a fair representation of tribal or endangered, like you mentioned, endangered or dialectal languages? Yeah, Dr. Shanti, would you like to?
Yeah, that is a good question. The problem is the data set what we have that is only for the mainstream languages. Even if we call Indic languages, they are mostly till now we are focusing on for the scheduled languages, maybe for 22 scheduled languages, and till now we are not able to achieve the major data set for these scheduled languages. And coming to the tribal and those languages, it's a quite difficult task, because personally I worked in some of the tribal languages like Santali, like English to Santali machine translation, or other Indic languages I tried. The major problem is the digitized contents are not available. So for example, we are talking about Santali and Ho. So although number of speakers are there, the problem with the digitized data is not available. So we need to first make available these languages or the contents into a digitized platform. And second is that there will be a collaboration between the technology, who knows the technology, and the linguist. For example, when we are collecting the data data for whole assume. So maybe we don't know the whole language, but we know the technology how to build a machine translation systems or a language model. But who will validate the data? The first thing is that okay, speakers know the data, but who will validate the data? So and there will be not printed document is available, and even if some printed documents is available, for example, when we working for Santali, okay, we have collected the data, but we need to validate the data from the native speakers, and they are actually a challenge. So for example, two steps we can do. First thing is that we need to encourage people to use their language, and all the necessary tools and technology required we need to build so that people can use it. People say that okay, fine, we are ready to use, but is there any technology support our language? If not, then how we can use it? For example, if somebody is trying to chat in whole language, is there any scripts or available that or in WhatsApp or any media, means any form, can he write his contents? No. Then so first thing is that we need to build such kind of technology, whether it required for script like for typing the scripts or digitize the contents on translation tools. So those things actually we need to develop. So and those the main problem is like those knew the technology, they don't have a complete understand of the language, and they know the language, they don't have complete understand of the technology. So it should be a mixed collaboration, which although we tried like we are trying and building some of the things, but it should not be, it should be very limited. For example, maybe we can generate such data set in few hundred, but that not solve the problems. For building any LLMs or fine tuning, you need millions of tokens, and who will generate? Maybe I am not telling that in one day it can be solved, but once we start using and encourage people that okay, you start using your language, and whatever the necessary technologies are there, we'll try to build or we'll try to assist you. So that one only not from the researcher, it will be from the government researcher, so and the company. So if it will be a collaboration effort, then definitely I think all these low resource languages will come to digitized media, and once the data is available, then building the technology will be more useful. So I think that is my thought, but maybe other experts are there, they can add.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Shanti. Maybe Dr. Raj can add, like, what is your vision for the India GenAI ecosystem over the next 5 years? I mean, especially for these marginalized and the endangered languages. Followed by maybe Ipsita, if you can just talk about, what will be the most pressing challenges, as like some of it has already been addressed, but if you'd like to add to it, maybe that would be good. We can start with Dr. Raj. What do you see India's vision? I think you have to unmute, Raj.
Can you please unmute Raj? Raj.
Hi, yeah, thank you for unmuting me.
Congratulations, Raj.
Can you hear me?
Congratulations, Raj.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no,
we have another.
That's why I thought
the eldest panelist today.
Yeah, she's my guest. She's our guest panelist.
Yeah.
I agree with what Shanti Priya said. We cannot get to equitable, language representation or performance in this LLM era unless people actually start using these LLMs for their languages. So first of all, it's like, it's very natural behavior for one to use an LLM with their own language, and you think, the LLM doesn't do so well, so there is no point in trying to use this LLM for that language. But that's not the point. We have to first of all figure out how bad the situation is for our languages of interest, especially for these marginalized languages. And once we know how bad it is, in which situations it works, in which situations it doesn't work, that is where we start figuring out, okay, so if these are the gaps and these are the things that I need to do, a plan automatically will pop up. One plan naturally is for data. We need to collect data, and we need to collect high quality data. So unless we do that, unless we actually start emphasizing using these LLMs for our own languages, nobody's actually going to end up realizing what the limitations are and then how we can fill these gaps. As far as the long-term vision, let's say in the next 5 years, I mean, the landscape is changing very rapidly. So whatever I say might change in another year. But at the very least, I expect that my feeling is that more and more people are getting involved because LLMs have made it so easy for anybody to work with in the field of AI. I'm seeing more and more people in the capacity of linguists, language enthusiasts, or what have you, actually come forth and try to participate in this, in this activity. For example, a few months ago, someone who is a speaker of a dialect of Konkani reached out to me and said that, okay, I want to create some kind of data set for a specific dialect of Konkani. Can you help me? And because I'd worked on a dialect of Marathi, which is one of my native dialects, which is called as Samvedi or Kadodi, I gave them some guidance, and actually they were able to build quite a bit of data set with the help of their family members. So researchers like us, people like us who have an understanding of technology should definitely be involving the local community and family members. And that's how we'll be able to actually I see that happening a lot in the next 5 years, and that is how we'll be pushing some of the boundaries.
Yeah, thanks. Ms. Ipsita, would you like to add to what other challenges could be in this?
I think most of it is already covered. I think one of the biggest challenges still remains is the data scarcity and the poor linguistic coverage. Like Indian, if we think about deployment of any Indian languages, like we anyways have a variety of like languages already existing, but the most difficult part is basically the high quality availability of this dialectal and colloquial variations that actually impacts the training and the evaluation in any sort of like production grade system. Second is definitely the tokenization and I would say the complexity of the script. Like all these modern Gen AI or LLMs are basically trained on primarily the English language or any variation of Latin or Chinese. But when it comes to the low resource languages like Odia, Devanagari, or any Dravidian script, the generation quality still remains poor. So yeah, that definitely is the second challenge, I would say. And third is something like any sort of like production grade system requires a low latency, right? When we are talking about real time systems. So I think it was very much like covered by Pratik in the previous sessions, but again, the low latency requirement for real time systems, it becomes really essential that these models are optimized for inference, and that actually even further degrades the the production quality that gets generated. So these are probably could be all the major challenges which low resource language in general face. So yeah.
Okay. Do we have Mr. Naik?
He's trying to join but due to some technical issues, but yeah, he's not available, but he's trying to join. Maybe we can continue.
Okay. Yeah, Ms. Ipsita, actually there was a question from a participant. I'm trying to not put that all the questions from the participants to the end. So maybe if you can answer this. There's a question, how can Gen AI models be optimized to handle the code switching commonly found in Indian language communication, especially when we mix both Hindi and English together? So
I have never worked particularly like on production grade systems with mixing both the languages together, but definitely with new techniques. I think the llamas and everything else, there is definitely that availability where we can like create certain data sets like that which has that mixture of both the languages, like a variety of languages I mean, and then create, but still on the production grade system that challenge of mix match of the languages still remains. So yeah, I think anybody else who can
would anybody else like to answer this?
Yeah, actually code mix even a few years back we try to build a code mix data set. The problem is that the data sets are actually really not available. For example, if you look into Odia language, maybe I'll tell in the context of Odia language what we tried in code mix. Even some of the researchers are here with whom I worked. So if you look into in India, in typical scenario, every Indian must know 3 languages. First one is English, second one is Hindi, and third one is his mother tongue. So I hope all will agree on this. Even if you are in Odia, you know Hindi, English, and Odia. And whenever you are talk, write, or everything. So there is a like funny thing like when we speak with any of the Indian outside. So and who observe? Many times people have observed this. They said. You are not talking in one language, right? Sometimes you are just converting to some other language. That means if I try to talk with one of my colleague, then I used to start talk with Hindi, and suddenly I switch to English, and then back to Hindi, like this, like normally. And it is the typical case. So any foreigner, like they observe that, always they told me that, in which exact language you are talking about? It's Hindi or English? So I said it's a code mix, and I think everybody we agree, whether you chat or you talk. So most of the times we try to do this code switching. So few years back we tried to build a code mix data set. So code mix data set, like we had started analyzing, like in particular in the Odia language, we are doing some lyric research. I think she is there. She has done also PhD. She can explain more. But typically we started to understand, like in Odia lyrics, when the Hindi words introduced. So for example, if you talk about Odia lyrics or song. So I don't know how many of you know. You can explain me or correct me. So in Odia lyrics or the song lyrics you are saying, so it is quite common. Now it is quite common. For example, if you took to any album. Sorry?
During the 90s, the Odia lyrics included Hindi words.
Even it is in 90, it's much before that. So, yeah. So So now it is quite common. So now if you look into when we started collecting the Odia lyrics song, then what we found is that now, although it is called Odia lyrics, but most of these words are Hindi. Okay, I am not blaming or anything, but some songs we collected, like if you typical songs, you can see, like if you collect some typical songs of Odia lyrics, Mo Dil Ta Nija means what it means. Ki Mo Dil Ta Tu Chipudi Dilu means, I am not this one, but this is the typical songs, today's these things. And then we try to find out, okay, when it got really started. So if you look into very old Odia songs, also we knew that, okay, these Hindi words have been introduced. That means now it is quite common, but it is not now. Even if you look at, we started exact instance I have. If you want, I can also tell you. But such things are already happened in Hindi. Hindi words have introduced in Odia. So that means, and after that again English also came. So that means in the language, it's the impact. For example, in India also same. Like when Britishers came, okay, English has been introduced. Then in local language, in Hindi influence is more. That means when we are talking about Odia, as Hindi influence is more, and we are following more Hindi. So in all our language or lyrics, Hindi is introduced already by default. So now if you try to see any lyrics, even the song title, movie title, you better know, I am not here, but you know, like all these things, it will be not pure Odia, it will be mixed Odia. So we try to find out, can we build such data set, and build a system who can identify that if you provide such data, what is the percentage of Odia, Hindi and English. It can identify and it can tell you. So that was like a first thing in the code mix we tried. But such things, what I'm saying, I have just given the instance of Odia, but such things is available all the languages. I think most of the panelists will agree, like whether it is Hindi or Odia. So
Tamil and all also, yes.
yeah, so first thing is that we need to really build such data set. Once we build the data set, I think then we can build the technology. So that will be like my observation and what we have done. Although a lot of such data is available and officially we have not released in a proper way, but we have collected a lot of songs in that direction for code mix.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Shanti. Yeah, maybe Dr. Raj, you can talk about what are some underutilized sources of data. I mean, don't unmute. We are happy with her performance. Don't mute yourself. You have to unmute him again, I guess, right? Yeah. So please,
Yeah.
Dr. Shanti, yeah. So
sorry. Sometimes she just excitedly screams loudly, so that's why I was disturbed.
These are value-added services.
Value-added services.
Yeah. Okay. So
Alright,
maybe you can talk about what are some underutilized sources of data, like government documents or the subtitles or social media that we could possibly, responsibly tap for the Gen AI development.
Right. Actually, before getting into that, I wanted to address one point that Dr. Shanti Priya had raised, and I think that's a very pertinent one over here. Specifically, that code mixing is a problem that is very hard to solve. It's because languages, as we know, already change. They evolve over time. And code mixing is even a bigger problem because there is absolutely no standardization. So if you've noticed, there's been a lot of papers in the linguistics community and also in the computational linguistics community about trying to create code mix data, where people have taken a bunch of code mix data that is naturally occurring on Twitter or they've asked linguists to create some code mix sentences, and they've tried to come up with theories like matrix theories, like, okay, there's an English matrix, which is the backbone, and then they say that, okay, some of these words are replaced by Hindi words or some non-English word. Alternatively, sometimes the matrix or the backbone is the Indian language sentence, and then some English words are substituted. And that works nicely in practice, but it doesn't capture the complexity or the non-standardized nature of code mixing. And the only way you can capture or even generate code mix data is by taking a bunch of existing code mix data over the web, like Twitter, social media, etc. So social media conversations especially, churn it all into an LLM and then let the LLM figure out the distribution. If we try to create any code mix data with a small amount of data that we have, and then we tell, oh, okay, you know what, based on these 10 examples, I think the way to create code mix data is XYZ. That is not going to capture the real distribution, because if you go into the wild, you'll see that even we ourselves, can anyone over here say that we know the exact rules for code mixing? No, it just comes out very naturally. If you ask me to explain how a present tense sentence is created or past tense sentence is created in Marathi, I'll be able to tell you. But if I tell you what are the rules for code mixing, there is no 100% guarantee that I can explain it.
But then these systems need continuous updates, right? Given that they are evolving.
Yes. So these will have to be constantly fed live data as it is coming from the web, and that online learning, online teaching, streaming based learning, that itself is a ongoing problem, right? It's very hard to solve it because it also needs to address the capacity of a model, whether a model can scale to infinite knowledge infinitely or not. That is also a very difficult question. So that is one thing that I had to point out. And then to the question that you asked,
please hold on to that. Maybe you can address how do we monitor or fix these mistranslations, especially in these code mixes? Must be.
That's really hard, because if we know that the LLMs, if we ourselves don't have standardized rules for code mixing, then it's very hard for us to develop evaluation systems to determine if a code mix sentence is good or not. So this is a chicken and egg problem. This is going to go into cycles. The only way we can do this is by going at scale. That is the only thing that I can imagine, unless we standardize code mixed languages to some degree, but then that would defeat the whole purpose of code mixing, because code mixing is meant to be very colloquial. Nobody uses it in formal texts. So I would say that if somebody can figure out a way to evaluate code mix data, then maybe then we'll be able to know, okay, this code mix sentence is, because think about it, code mixing is very unnatural. I mean, it's natural, but it's unnatural in terms of purity of the language, right? So how do you evaluate something that is not naturally unnatural, right? So it's not that
inappropriate most of the times, right?
Yeah, and yeah, you can't evaluate, and if an LLM can't evaluate generate code mix data, it sure as it cannot evaluate code mix data either. So it's not that straightforward, in my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe you can come back to that.
We'll be doing code mixing even after 5 years. I'm 100% sure.
Just to add to that, it's not just the problem that we face during generation of the data sets, but just like the social media that you just mentioned, like Facebook or anywhere else, people write with like English plus Spanish plus whatever, and in the real-time systems there is that that use case which exists, right? Whether there is a toxicity that the feed needs to go down. So in those particular cases, most of the real-time systems are basically built detect what is basically the language and convert that into English. However, there is that loss of emotional weightage that language carries. But yeah, for the real-time systems, that's the accuracy versus the real-time trade-off that gets done. But yeah, that is still remains the challenge of the code mix things.
Yeah, online learning mixed with code mixing is going to be a big nightmare. I don't think we are anywhere close to solving it. Right now, the way it works is people, if you look at Gemini, if you look at Llama, what people do is every 3 months, they do a big pre-training run, they do fine tuning and they release the model. That is how it works. That is the best way to keep updated. Because online learning, I'm not an expert, but I can say it's not yet solved. It's very hard to solve, in fact.
Yes, thanks, sir. Thanks, everyone. And Dr. Raj, if you'd like to take up the question, what are the underutilized sources of data? Yeah.
Right. So I can say that a huge amount of untapped potential is in books. We have an enormous amount of literature in India in a variety of languages. Unfortunately, not all of it is digitized. If it is digitized, it's photos and not necessarily properly high quality scans. This is a big problem. Back 2 years ago, when we tried to create Sangraha, which is one of the monolingual collections for Indian languages, the issue that we faced is that initially we tried to extract stuff. Initially what we tried to do is we just tried to see if we could take the PDF, we could parse the PDF without resorting to OCR and then see if we could get results. Then we realized that most of these are not true PDFs, but PDFs containing images. So that theory was out of the window. So we decided to resort to OCR. Now, the craziest thing is that in order to parse what we even considered as a small amount of books, it took $50,000 worth of compute credits just to parse a small amount of data. So you can imagine, and plus these OCR systems are not perfect. They're not necessarily optimized for every use case for the Indian language context. So you can imagine the real problem, right? So if we can invest a lot into digitization, high quality digitization, and getting good quality OCR systems for Indian languages, that is a huge untapped potential. Because if you look at legal, and if you solve this problem, right, this will be applicable to anything in general. Like for example, agriculture. There's a lot of documents in the agricultural domain which are probably just scans. You go to government, offices. There's cases from 50, 60 years ago which are probably scanned or probably just lying there collecting dust. But if somebody were to digitize this, it would give you so much of data. Yeah, she doesn't agree with me, but then we'll have a discussion later.
Dr. Shanti, you would let us know, right, when Mr. Naik joins, or has he joined?
I think he's not yet joined.
Okay.
He's getting something.
Okay. Okay. Maybe the next question is for Mr. Sadangi. If you can answer. Beyond building the initial models, what are the biggest MLOps or operational challenges in keeping the GenAI model for Indic languages running reliable and fair over time, without biases?
Okay, this is my turf. So I would say the most critical gap is again on the data side, like everyone says, like the scarcity of data, and on top of that, it's the data engineering and the MLOps pipeline in general, right? So the critical missing element here, like most people have mentioned, it's not the AI algorithms per se, but the infra for the data pipeline that actually feeds into the algorithm. So we start with like not just data, but before data. How do we curate the data? How do we source data? And how do we filter or clean data? So again, as the Mega Indic Llama paper, which is one of the foremost papers on Indic data sets showed, their success came from not training a new algorithm per se, but cleaning data to train their models. Right. So that's the most valuable infra that we can build on, by concentrating on, data ingestion, cleaning, deduplication, and quality control. Like Raj also mentioned, and Ipsita also mentioned, this can also be heavily utilized for code mixing. If we can I've worked with companies that work on the data curation side, and generally when we are curating data, for Indic languages or for low resource languages, the focus is on the purity of data. If you want to train a model on Spanish, we expect everyone to speak pure Spanish with no code mixing at all. But how many people in general, in real life, speak a language completely purely, 100% of all the words belong to that language? So we need to kind of relax our expectations when we are asking people to train a model on Odia or curate a data set in Odia, not expect them to speak pure 100% Odia, but talk naturally as they would. So that's one when it comes to the ingestion or the data curation side. And second is I would say accessible fine-tuning and evaluation. So fine-tuning is hard, mostly because of the scale involved, of the data sizes involved, and the resources that it takes. So the most efficient way to, I would say, build powerful Indic models is by not retraining or training a foundation model from scratch, but fine-tuning existing large foundation models, especially the ones that support multiple languages, DeepSeek.
But will that be enough, or we need to have purpose-built? Will that be enough, just fine-tuning the existing ones, or we have to build purpose-built foundational models for these Indic languages?
Purpose-built would be the dream, but I talked to a lot of researchers pre-training their own foundation models in the billion parameter range. It takes a lot of resources that we don't have. So working with the resources we have currently, I would say the MVP or the V0 should be fine-tuning an existing model on a specific data set, or on our Indic data set, for example. This could, if you start with a multilingual model, DeepSeek, the process could be a lot faster. But for now, I would say we should aim at not purpose-building models, but fine-tuning existing models, and fine-tuning existing models on our current use cases. So and if we could also make this fine-tuning process more accessible, again this feeds into the benchmark process I was talking about. Make those benchmarks accessible, the fine-tuning processes and resources accessible, so people can easily fine-tune existing open source models on their particular use case or data set. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Ms. Ipsita, if we can just add to this, are there any industry best practices that we can follow to avoid biases or cultural insensitivity while building these GenAI models for Indic languages?
I think first of all, inclusive data curation, definitely that needs to be taken care of. So it's over-representation of any sort of data. For example, most of our data comes from those corporas textbooks and things like that. That kind of represents basically a elite or a urban voice, but does not kind of represent any sort of like dialect, like urban tribal that we spoke about. So that's a bit of a manual process, how you increase the diversity during data curation process. Second is also like, the bias auditing as well as red teaming. I think there are many like automatic tools which are available today to kind of help with those kind of processes. And I think Dr. Shantipriya also mentioned that you have to kind of like involve very native speakers to kind of like review this data and flag any sort of inconsistency or offensive sort of generation during this process. So that is a little bit of like human in loop that needs to be taken care of. And particularly dealing with this low resource language, I would say that contextual grounding is very much required. So that is one thing that we collect any sort of like textbook corpora, but like any sort of like production grade system, it needs to have some sort of like inclusion of like local idioms, festivals which are very, very specific, like the Rath Yatra and things like that when it comes to Odia language and expressions. These kind of like inclusion sort of like reduce the biases and help with cultural alignment and improves like the training and the evaluation processes as well. So that is one more thing. And in general, I would say that like, involving a larger community of like educators or content creators to kind of like, and involve a lot of like open source data sets. It's like in the industry that definitely there are some, like closed source data as well as something which is like done privately as well. But inclusion of this like open source data makes it the more richer format. So I think these are some of the best practices that are followed, at least in my opinion. But yeah, we touched upon the human in loop portion, but it is quite involved process, and yeah, I think that's where most of the data curation and the human in loop, that's like.
I mean, how do we ensure that these the systems, they do not reinforce the caste or regional or cultural stereotyping? How do we ensure that it doesn't happen? I mean, sometimes you can say, if you have any example, maybe you can put that where this goes wrong.
So sometimes, for example, let's say you have fine-tuned a model, and then you ask the model to kind of like generate some sort of like paragraphs. Then that's where you sort of like in the first set at least you can like have that option of like either involving the human to kind of grade like how is the generation happening, so that you ensure that this is the generation that is preferred and this is something which we are not doing. Otherwise you can also like train a reward model like the RLHF, like those kind of like ways, so that a model is actually looking at it and ensuring that these kind of like biases are eliminated. But in any case, human in loop is definitely the native speakers, the human in loop, that needs to be like intact.
Great, thank you. Maybe I can take one question from participant. We have a media professional and writer who says that they create columns for Odia language newspapers and scripts for feature films and documentaries. And as a tech-savvy individual, the professional would like to know how do they use various text and image-based, image or video-based generative AI platforms, and how they can contribute to developing Odia generative AI.
Yeah, maybe I can answer about this. So the first thing is that actually when we're talking about the data set, now whatever the data are available, mostly we are talking about text-based model. That means the data are only text. So which now we are working on multimodal data set. So Multimodal dataset means already I think recently we released a multimodal dataset for Odia. Already we released multimodal dataset in different languages. For example, Raj knows like for the multimodal dataset for machine translation, we released the first dataset Hindi visual genomes, and till many people are using it. Then we try to make this Hindi visual genome to different languages, Bengali, Malayalam, and even African languages, Hausa. And recently also we are releasing this same visual genome for Odia. Already we did. You can see a poster at that, like what is the process, and we are going to release it early in that. So same thing, like we are now building multimodal data set for LLMs. So recently it is there also in Hugging Face. We released a instruction set containing both text and images in Odia. That means we have some instruction. For example, it is a simple question answer data set, but it can be used for multimodal LLM fine tuning, and it is in the same instruction set format. For example, assume it's a simple data set. You have a image, for example, 2 people are standing. So the instruction says that, okay, how many people are standing in the image, and it will be in Odia, and the answer will be, okay, Day-2 means in Odia 2 people are there. So such data set first we try to build, and then we try to fine tune the model, like Lava and other means multimodal LLMs. So generally we are working in multimodal LLMs. So now such data, when it is available in Odia multimodal LLM dataset is has built, then slowly we can move into the video. Means now it is only text-based models. So slowly we are building this multimodal LLMs, and then I think we can go for video. So when we are talking about this movie and editing, these are actually highly involved, this image and video. So first thing is that we need to have some data, and now the advanced LLM or multimodal LLMs, even if you have some less quantity of data, you can use the fine tuning, and also you can do synthetic data. Like we are working on generating synthetic data, but only synthetic data won't work. It will be a lot of biases. So at least you need some amount of high quality real data, and then on top of that you can generate synthetic data and build such model. Then only you can able to do. For example, if your model okay, you can try, for example, you try any multimodal LLMs, you ask about Puri Jagannath Mandir or Konark Mandir or this Mandir, or means any places in Odisha. So you can try, you can find some images, but which is not exactly look like it Konark Sun Temple. Some model understand, but not all. You are talking about Lingaraj Mandir. Okay, you can ask that, okay, model to you generate an image, one person standing in front of Lingaraj Mandir, Bhubaneswar. Now, Lingaraj Mandir, Bhubaneswar, has the model ever seen how the Lingaraj Mandir look like? So, then how the model will generate? Model will generate some temple. Maybe it will not be the realistic one. It understands the context and just generate something. So such quality data actually we need to generate. Then only we can use in the in the media, in publications, like if they want to generate some content. So such things will be available. So I think that is not very difficult task, because we have lot of images are available. Only thing is that 2 things we need to ensure that these images, what is the license? Because you cannot, for example, I cannot just take this image and put it and post it. So there will be some violations. So we have to take the open source images and annotate it, and that will be the first step. We are building the data set. Then using the data set, we can build LLM, or we can generate synthetic data. So that will be my opinion.
Dr. Kanti, I'll have to stop you here, maybe because Dr. Raj has a hard stop. So we can take just one question for Dr. Raj, and then we'll come back to you. Dr. Raj, you are still there, or have you logged off?
He messaged now, he's dropping off.
I think that he
Okay. Yeah, maybe
dropped.
then you can continue. Yeah, please continue. I just stopped it in it. So Mr. Naik has also joined us.
Yeah.
So welcome, and we have covered many questions. So maybe I can start with asking you a very important question, like what frameworks or principles, should be there to guide the ethical development of Gen AI for Indian languages?
Okay, so this is actually a pretty nice question because why did I say nice? Because nowadays, whatever the kind of AI and Gen AI LLMs, like as we have mentioned earlier in the talks, building something a specialized LLM for Odia language or for any other regional languages, right? So ethics are very important. So even in our past news, the Google has shut down around 2,000 to 3,000 agentic AIs because ethically they are not following the process. Okay, so here is where we need to have a explainability. Okay, so that is which is missing in all the LLM frameworks, where we don't have what we are getting the output. Okay, and how it is getting output, right? Like when we say we have been training and we kept our RAG and we have complete knowledge database and all are being implemented through the all language transitions from one language to the other language. We forgot to have a XAI, which is explainable AI, okay, which monitors and which goes to this all ethicentrics of the components which we build. It may be a data preprocessing, data ingestion, okay, how our firewalls are being built, how it may be a cloud environment, it may be a non-cloud environment. So the major important thing is we need to have each and every monitoring and our LLM ops, okay, which are the operations and our DevOps, so in place. With the strict firewalls and with the strict security compliances, whatever the compliance and terms. So before we are building all these frameworks, we need to understand and we should start building our governances. Okay, what is our governance that we are going to follow, and upon that, we have our AI agent AI, which is an explainable AI. An agent can monitor each and every component, okay, and then give us a result if something is going off the track. So yeah, I answered your question, I guess.
Yes, you definitely did. My next question will be to Mr. Sadangi. How can we move beyond discussing this ethics as a separate topic and start embedding the ethical checks and balances directly into our developmental pipelines and tools? Sort of an ethics as a code. How do we do that?
Yes. So I would say for this specific domain, we need to come up with something called, say, like we have, say, ML ops or data ops or DevOps. We need to have something like, say, ethical ops, which would mean embedding these ethical guidelines directly into the development cycle, right? So you already have a lot of tools that do guardrails. So those tools need to be added to the entire development pipeline. So starting from where the data set has been curated to make sure that the data is not biased, to de-bias it, to make sure that it's culturally culturally sensitive topics are represented as such. So that's one. That's on the data side. And when you're training a model, when you're doing periodic vibe checks to make sure that the model is not being biased towards towards class imbalances, or so basically those don't bias the model. So that's one particular dialect of a language takes precedence, for example. And finally, once a model has been trained and once it's being released and put in the wild, we need to also ensure that keep checks and guardrails on how it's actually being used, because it's very possible that a model which has been very well curated, very well trained, that has all ethical guidelines built in, but is not used in the correct context, could generate very, I would say, unpleasant results. And this would take back the entire effort that's been put into training the model. So we need to have these checks and balances in three places, from what I see. One is in the data curation side, second is during training the model, and in the application side. So this would ensure that ethical AI is not just a checkbox that you have to satisfy when you are releasing a model, but it's part of the entire development cycle, from dataset curation to model deployment to evaluation or retraining.
So would you agree that these governance protocols should be built into the tools as well, Gen AI tools from day one, right? Would you agree to this? Do we have?
I would say from day one, if day one is the day when it's being released to production. then in that case, yes, because you cannot have a biased model in production. We already have a lot of issues with, say, biased models, and now the synthetic data which is biased and is being used to train more models, which then just amplifies the entire effect. So if the model has to be put in the wild, then it has to have these guardrails built from scratch. But if it's like, say, a closed source model that you are using internally for research purposes, if you think that this will slow down the process, then maybe like it can take a backseat, but it should be in your, say, to-do list at all times.
So we are definitely running short of time. So maybe I'll just, because we have students also, maybe I would like to take up some questions for them. Do you think, Mr. Naik, that academic research in India is sufficiently aligned with the real-world language technology needs, and what could be improved here? I think you have to unmute. Dr. Shanti, you have to unmute.
Can you unmute?
Okay, thanks for giving the permission to unmute. I was not able to unmute. Okay, whereas in India, right? So I'll just be kind of. So we Indians have a word called jugaad. Okay, so I just got this word out where other countries and other places, right? They have a big R&Ds and big infrastructures and big areas, right? Whereas in our Indian, where they need a single 1 BHK to open a startup. So as I see the evolving technology of AI and GenAI, right? We Indians are thrown in the market. Okay, to learn these areas. Okay, it's kind of a kind of push. Okay, where the universities, big universities, they are coming up with the new courses, n number of courses, n number of graduations. But still, when it comes to the ground floor, when it comes to the shop floor, how Indians are trying to manage it, to grab such a huge projects on AI and GenAI area, I say that they started working on the real use cases. Okay, when I say the real use cases, actual use cases, and they took a very huge responsibilities working for this subject matter kind of an industries like aviation, pharmaceuticals, life sciences, chemicals, drug discovery. So these areas, so they are learning by the hittings. Okay, so it is not like we have some kind of R&D centers, but yeah, we are growing R&D centers after knowing that this market is growing, and as an Indians, we are also taking a good position there, and I hope that in upcoming years the AI and GenAI will become kind of a part of each and every curriculum, from starting with the schooling itself, because nowadays even third standard candidates, the students are using ChatGPTs. Okay, so they'll start learning it, and I guess, yeah, as of now, we are not ready as having these R&D centers and all those things. Now government is trying to establish, and we are in a growing stage. In coming 5-6 years, we will be achieving a huge amount of infrastructure and, sources to learn in these areas. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe, Ipsita, if you could add, like, what advice would you like to give these, early career technologies on this? Who would want to build their career in, this space of GenAI for Indian languages?
I would start giving first parties, start identifying the use cases. Start being innovative. Okay, don't try to do the same thing which you have in the present industry. Now you have an ample amount of sources. Okay, you have an ample amount of AIs, agentic AIs. There are lots of things, lots of materials available that can give you a huge amount of knowledge. Now whatever the process, or now whatever the students who are all entering into the graduation, I sincerely suggest, start being innovative, start getting the new use cases, and start pursuing their dreams. Okay, how they can be capable enough to get those dreams, who are like, off from the education in the mind. I want to be an engineer because of the family pressure. So I start asking them to, get their dreams up. So that they can build some kind of a technology to achieve that dreams, maybe anything. If they are not good with the music and they have been sent to the engineering, they can build a singer in their AI and GenAI world. Okay, so they can be a proficient enough to make a singer in that particular space too. So any kind of thing. So I suggest play with the AI and Gen AI from the day zero. Don't be afraid of coding. Don't be afraid of I need to do Java, C, C++, Python. So be more free-handed. Use your chat GPTs and understand more about coding part, how the maths work behind it, how the stats works behind it, and incline with your dreams, with your childhood dreams, with your childhood past, and then get some innovative ideas and be above the AI. Okay, so don't need not to follow what all are following. Be above the AI. Make something special where AI can surprise by itself. Yeah.
Maybe, thank you, Mr. Naik. Maybe, Ms. Mohanty, if we can talk about, how can people with non-ML, without formal ML backgrounds can contribute here? Maybe if you can just shed some light.
I think there is no more place for...
Yeah.
Sorry, you're
I'm asking Ms. Mohanty.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think nowadays, like the engineering or any sort of education is like pretty good with the curriculum. They have the basics of machine learning, but even then, like if that's not the case, then there are many good courses available, like Coursera's and a lot of like free courses like on the YouTube. So definitely taking up a course, getting the hands dirty, that would be my starting point. But yeah, I definitely suggest the learn by building approach, which means that let's say you want to start with a low resource language. English is very widely available, but let's just focus on the low resource languages. So what they can do is basically take up a open source large language model, which is freely available, Llama or something, and then try with the small data set. They can create a small data set by themselves, focus on question answering, summarization. There are many kind of language capabilities that they can build. So it is pretty much pretty quick, and they can learn by doing. Second is again, I think Adi also mentioned focus on the real world impact, see around, basically if they can where you can make a small project work, think from a perspective that probably you are helping a small business owner or automating certain things that is around you. So that gives that practical entrepreneurial mindset. You start with the problem and then build up. And as well, I think this forum is a very good start. Somebody who wants to sort of learn about language and Gen AI, how to apply, they do not have much of access, then definitely this Gen AI hackathons, workshops, join a open source initiative, AI for Bharat, those kind of forums will kind of definitely give a lot of resources where to kind of start. I would say that,
Yeah, true. And Mr. Sadangi, if you can just talk about what are the critical gaps, in the developer ecosystem, especially for this Indic language. We have just a minute or two for this. Then we'll just quickly move to the audience questions.
Yeah, I would say the critical gap here, and not just for Indic languages, but in the entire, say, Gen AI space, outside of the few large models or say large providers, is say the developer experience of using these models, right? So a model on, say, Hugging Face is justified unless you can say actually use it or build on top of it, right? And a research paper on archive is not a product. So you have to say empower developers to be able to use those models or build on top of the research that's done. And how that can be done is first and foremost say open source libraries, APIs that are say accessible, documentation and tutorials around those libraries and APIs available in multiple languages, not just English. And finally, say rapid prototyping tools. So I have seen how tools say Streamlit and Gradio can help you build on top of a model in just an afternoon, a couple of hours, and you have a Gen AI application ready running on top of Llama. So if we concentrate on these three, say I would say foundation pillars for developer experience, open source libraries, APIs, documentation and tutorials, and prototyping tools. I would say that would lower the barrier for entry to anyone who's say not technical in this field.
Yeah, thanks. Maybe Dr. Shanti can tell about what, in this context, how the OdiaGenAI community has been helping the students in this career progression.
Yeah, actually, we are actually doing some internship. We are trying to organize a different workshop. I think last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, actually, we are trying to organize such kind of workshop and encourage students to come and participate in different events. And also, we try to train students. As you have seen, yesterday we have released some reasoning models. So it was entirely done by the interns. The data set what I was showing today morning, it will be all done by the interns. So even the models what we are going to release in Play Store, that is also by the interns. So only thing is that we are guiding, and the interns are doing everything. So they have actually a lot of potentials. Only thing is that they don't know exactly what to do. So many times people or student come and ask me, I have learned this subject or I am interested in GenAI, but where to start? What should I do? So that is, I think, the key thing. Because generative AI, okay, this is a generative AI language models, all these things are fine, but where to start? So they don't know exactly. So where actually we try to guide them. For example, we try to assign them some problem. We discuss, okay, this is the problem and this is the plan. Okay, then and you need to learn these things, and this is the way, and we will guide you to release the data set. Starting from training, because everybody means they only know the coding part, but what to do, the steps. So that actually we guide them, and many people have succeeded. And in OdiaGenAI, whatever the product and everything you are seeing, so those mostly done by the interns, and also we try to help them to get recruited. So this is I think sometimes people see that, okay, this technology is it's a very niche technology, or we can't do this, but nothing like that. From morning or from yesterday, we are trying to show them and try to build the confidence that this is not it's not the technology that only big companies or big fellows can do. Anybody can do it. So that confidence actually really helped a student to build things. And we have collaboration with different institutions like KIIT and other institutions. Even we are getting support from IIT. So many institutions and companies, even AMD, they are providing resources. So so from our side, actually, we know what is the gap. Because we don't have to find the problems are already there. So we are not trying to find the problem, because there are a lot of things are there, and we are not for example, we are not trying to build a models which will perform much better. Because if there is in Odia, there is no model is available, what is the point of building or improving the performance of existing model? So that is my point. So, and students definitely, as I said, they can reach out to us. Only thing we require that student, they are eager to learn, and they can learn and they can contribute. And in that sense, we can help because we have associated with a lot of researchers, and we have collaboration with industry. So we can help them. And I think as we have running out of time, maybe I'll take some questions from here.
Repository.
Yeah,
maybe you can have one repository where these, open source tools or APIs or the platforms that can be prioritized for the GenAI development can be put up for the students to access. That would be a big help.
All are actually models are open source, available in Hugging Face, and many of the data sets are available in Lindat. So all are actually open source, and we can provide the links, or most of the details are available in OdiaGenAI website, where we are releasing in form of blog post and scientific research paper. So anybody can go through it, or if you have any access, can contact me. But as we are running out of time, so I'll take some questions from here, audience.
Yeah.
So if you have
Yes,
any
please.
question,
Yeah.
please raise your hand. So or tell me, I can pass to the panelist, or if I can answer, definitely help to answer. Anybody has any questions for, or you
There
can,
was one question posted online, which is, what are your thoughts on AI being pivotal point in the rise of anti-intellectualism on a creative level? Because every day we see companies opting for AI art and writing rather than paying actual artists and journalists. And how can this be tackled? Mr. Naik or anybody can please volunteer to answer this.
So I just wanted to ask, answer this question here. Instead of seeing AI as a competitive body, which is cannibalizing the art or which is eating away these areas, so whatever the base which is built, whichever the AI which is built, it's built by a human. Okay, without any prompt, in a simple way, without any question or without any training or without any huge heavy work which goes with the data, technology and parts, right? It won't achieve to that area. It won't achieve to that place. So yeah, I understand the contents and all. It would be something which is specific to their data. It's not something which you can't build. Let's say tomorrow I say, give me a content or give me some images that related to Odia part, right? So it can't do it, because it is not trained with that area. So you need to pick that particular area. You have yourself 1,000 artifacts, right, in the writing part. Even in our novels which we get, they have a huge amounts of varieties and huge amount of journals, right? So it's where you need to be above it rather than what it's been implemented. Okay, they have implemented this, and what would be the next idea for me to do something with the AI and GenAI? And content writers and whoever are intelligent enough, they should start adopting this AI, okay, be as your assistant to trigger your blockages, innovation blockages, and start going above the AI area. Okay, so I would suggest that part. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Dr. Shanti, do we have any questions from the audience there?
is anybody has any question for the panelist?
I think most of it we have covered in the discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now already we are reached to the conclusion, and so.
Okay, so I'll just take a minute to thank all our esteemed panelists. You've been sharing such insights, such rich insights, from data set gaps to code mixes, ethics, developer experience. So, today's conversation shows how multidimensional this challenge is. It also shows that there's so much potential. We have to bring together research, startup, policy, students with this shared vision. So let's continue this conversation. This panel discussion is just a start, but not just in the labs and boardrooms or in stages like this, but in classrooms or in rural labs or developer meetups that happens across the country. I thank you again, everybody, and maybe I'll hand this over to the organizers for the next session. Thank you so much, everyone. Namaskar, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next session will be at 1:30 p.m.